All right, so we are recording again once again. Welcome everyone to the LitmusChaos Community Sync-up call. We have a good amount of agenda items today, and we'll also be discussing about LitmusChaos 3.0 beta version, which will be discussed by Saranya. But before we move on to the agenda, I see a lot of recurring members joining in. Perhaps we can ask a couple of folks to share if they have any possible updates on their usage of Litmus or introductions. So I think Nagesh, he's been with us since the last month. He's been working on the community side. So Nagesh, do you want to share any updates with the community?
Yeah, sure. So currently I'm working on the Litmus CTL upgrade, like to make it more compatible with the newer Litmus version from the beta 9. And I'm working with Saranya and Sarthak right now. So yeah.
All right, sounds good. Thank you so much, Nagesh, for the update.
Sure.
We also have Naga Shilpa. She's joining us after a long time. So Naga Shilpa, do you want to share any update on your usage of Litmus?
Hi, Prithvi. This is Naga Shilpa. So we are using LitmusChaos for our product testing. I mean, to inject the chaos into the system. So today I need few info from your team. Like we are trying to inject LitmusChaos with the Kubernetes version 1.26, but we coming across some issues in our system. So I need your help in how to proceed, how to trigger this, install this LitmusChaos with a new Kubernetes version.
Sure, Naga Shilpa. I think we can discuss this in the Q&A session.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Thank you.
And you can ask your questions. Okay, thank you so much. So we have one of these new members, Namya. Namya is joining us. So Namya, would you like to introduce yourself to the community?
Sure. So, hi everyone. I am Namya. Basically, my interest towards this project developed in KCD Bangalore when I heard the lightning talk on chaos engineering. So, just wanted to explore more and understand what this project is about. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Namya, for joining us.
Yep.
So we'll move on to the agenda quickly. Let's take a look at the agenda we have in hand. And obviously we had the introduction. We'll be having a quick user story presented by Ganesh. Ganesh Prasad is from HCL, and then we'll also have a quick user story presented to us by Alion Vidyakte from Group Baobab, and then we'll have Saranya Jaina from Harness who'll be talking about the 3.0 beta latest version updates with a quick demo if possible, and in the end we'll have an open floor for Q&A. So without any further ado, I'll perhaps allow Ganesh to take over.
Thank you, Prithvi. Hi, all. So myself, I'm Ganesh Prasad, and I work at HCL Tech. And it's been close to 8 or 9 months that I've started using the LitmusChaos. So we are just getting familiarized with the tool, and we are just trying out the various various workflows and all the items which are being presented to us through Litmus. Because when we were thinking about chaos engineering, this was actually a very attractive tool for us to pick up. And since it's an open source, it gives us a very much of a demonstrable area to us, and try it out and then later explore the other possibilities of the product. So this actually motivated us to kickstart using LitmusChaos. And yeah, we are still in the exploratory phase, and we are just trying to cope up with certain challenges what we are also facing. And like the other participant mentioned earlier, even I also have come across certain issues, and eagerly looking forward for the Q&A to actively participate and get some exciting information to learn about the product. So thanks, Prithvi and others, for giving me this opportunity to be a part of this. Looking forward for good meetings with the team. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ganesh, once again, and we look forward to your questions during the Q&A session. So perhaps I'll allow Alion to take over and just share his user story with us.
Hello everyone. So my name is Eliun. I'm part of the group Baobab company. So basically, we had some disaster recovery plan that we had to use on our infrastructure. But regarding to Kubernetes workloads, we needed to look out for tools in order to see how our resilience of our workload inside our clusters. So our first choice, we did not had basic tools for chaos scenarios. So we just start and figure out which one will be more suitable with our use cases. And that's where we try to integrate Litmus. So right now we just use it for our Kubernetes workloads, but we hope also to use it for all our cloud resources on AWS, Azure. So also we support like we had to choose it because also it's open source and it's on the CNCF landscape tools. So basically also all our infrastructure regarding Kubernetes is running this such kind of tools around CNCF. So Litmus was just something that complete our workflow of resilience. So we hope also we can get support from the Slack communities and so on in order to help us in our journey. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much once again, Elion, for being one of the users of Litmus, and we look forward to more deliberations with you on Slack and hoping for more community collaboration moving ahead.
Great.
Thank you once again.
Thanks.
So moving on, I'll allow Saranya to share her screen and take us through the latest updates with LitmusChaos 3.0 beta.
Sure. Share the screen. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes, Saranya.
Okay. So hi everybody, this is Sarna and I'm one of the maintainers of LitmusChaos project. So today of the feature additions and improvements that we are having in the latest 3.0 beta. So starting off with the first point is like revamped UX. So we have completely revamped the UX of Chaos Center, which is now using the harness code UI components, and it will help users to like help users to simplify the Chaos journey and make it more intuitive. And with this, we are also introducing the Chaos Studio, which will simplify the user experience of creating the Chaos experiment and tuning them. So, and the third point is like introduction. So we are introducing the a new concept of environments, which will allow users to create their Chaos infrastructures in a more organized and better manner. And yeah, next is the support for Mongo replicas. So with the latest Litmus beta, users can have multiple Mongo replicas, which can be installed via Helm using the Bitnami Mongo. And we have also documented the steps for the complete installation, which will be available to the users. Yeah, so the next one is the terminology changes. So the major changes are the agents and delegates will now be called as Chaos infrastructures, and scenario or workflows will now be referred to as Chaos experiments, and the Chaos experiments will now be called as Chaos faults. And lastly, we have done a lot of API refactors and enhancements, and we have also changed the GraphQL schemas, the Mongo schema, which are like to reduce the code redundancy and make it more readable. With that, we have also changed the architecture of the code base as well, which will enhance the developer experience. And all of these will be available in beta 10 in a more as a more stable version. So with that, I would like to share a small demo, an overview of the latest Chaos Center. Yeah. So this is the revamped UX screens. Let me log in. Yeah, so this is the these are the new screens. This is the overview page where we can get the overview, like the total stats of all the resources and the latest chaos experiment runs. And going to the chaos hub, so we have the default Litmus chaos hub already connected upon the installation, and we have the around like we have the chaos experiments and chaos faults as well. And then like I already mentioned about the environments, so we can create our own environment which will help organize our chaos infrastructures in a better manner. So let me test env to let me yeah. So inside that, we can go and enable or create infrastructures. So it will take some time. So I'll just yeah. So we can have this. The flow is mostly same. We can connect the cluster wide or namespace scope chaos infrastructures, and we will need to download the manifest, and we can apply the same in our cluster. So I have already connected one infra. So this is the test infra that we have already connected, and using that, let me show how we can create or schedule different chaos experiments. So yeah, let me test experiment. So here I'll choose the chaos infrastructure, and start with a blank canvas. So this is the chaos studio that I have previously talked about. Here we can add our chaos faults and like choose the target application. For now, I'll just choose a dummy one. We can tune the fault and add our own add new probes. So I'll just go ahead with the default values here. I'll just apply the changes. Now, if I save the experiment, it will create the experiment, and once I run it, it will start the experiment run. Yeah, so this is how we can like create a basic experiment. I already have some experiments previously run. So yeah. So this is one of the experiments that we have run previously. So these are the probe details, the logs which will be available during the runtime, and the fault configuration. We have the probe results and all. So yeah, with the upcoming releases, we'll be having the complete flow here. We'll be having the teaming and the user creation as well. So all these features and fixes will be coming in the subsequent releases releases. So yeah, that's all as a very brief demo. I can take some questions or yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Saranya. If we have any more questions for Saranya, maybe you can post them in the chat. And now we can get started with our Q&A session. So if anyone has any questions, they can just unmute themselves and ask, and the community can discuss the answers on the same.
Prithvi, as I said, we want to try with the latest our Kubernetes version 1.26, this LitmusChaos. So earlier the version which we are using, Litmus 2.50, we are seeing some issues with that. So can you let us know what is the stable build which will work with Kubernetes 1.26?
Yeah, so hey, this is Vedant here from LitmusChaos.
Yeah, Vedant.
So I think maybe we can, look into the issue that you are facing, like any logs or something that we can check. So, I mean, like before this, we haven't faced any issues. And, like this is the first time we are seeing something with respect to Kubernetes version. So maybe we can, check and get back to you with the same.
I mean, I'm using a little bit old build like that Litmus 2.5.g was or something. So do I need to pick up any latest build to check whether it's working with this Kubernetes version?
Yeah, I think that is, although like we in the previous releases, we haven't done any such change to accommodate any different behavior with respect to new creators versions. But anyways, even in the notes and documentation, I think the supported version is starts from Kubernetes 1.17. So it should be good, I think. But maybe we can check the logs and maybe get back to you with the same if there is any issue with respect to it.
So if I want to pick up the latest builds, which stable, which one is stable I can pick, which is stable build I can pick.
Okay, okay. So you are using this Helm chart or the manifest for installation?
For installation, I'm using YAML thing, like apply mode, not Helm charts.
Okay, okay. So yeah, I think on that side, the very stable version would be this one 2.14.0, right?
Okay, okay.
You are seeing for the Chaos Center, right? Not the standalone one, only Litmus
No, Chaos Center, yeah.
Chaos Center, yeah. So yeah, the stable version would be 2.14.0. But if what Saranya has shown or some new features, if you want to try some beta thing, then you can also go for 3.10x beta version.
Okay, we will try this one. Okay. Thanks, Vedant,
Yeah,
for the info.
Sure.
Right. Thank you so much, Nagashilpa. Thank you so much, Vedant. Do we have any more questions?
Maybe I had a question. So basically, are you currently using like these kind of test scenarios on AWS resources in productions? Like, let's assume a use case that had different region replicas, like 2 or 3, and you try to delete just one region and see like if it can behave as expected, or you just limited the usage on the Kubernetes workloads for production.
Maybe it might depend on which services on AWS you want to target. So like if you see in the documentation, we do have support for some of the AWS services like VM disk and all and EC2s. But still, yeah, like the use case would depend like how you wanna go for it. Like we do have experiments for AWS, GCP, Azure, and Kubernetes as well.
Okay, I see.
Hey,
so it depends on the services.
Yeah. Like if you need, we can share the documentation in the chat or somewhere. But yeah, the experiments are.
Yeah, I see. Thanks.
Hey, Alien, this is Nilanjan. I just wanted to pitch in that you can maybe try the AWS AZ down experiment. So that is, I guess, what you're looking for. It would basically disable a particular availability zone for AWS and enable you to check the resiliency of fallover or, your backup resources, how they are coming up. Yeah, you can check the experiments out.
Cool. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, Nilanjan, Vedant, and Alion. Do we have any more questions?
Hi, I have a couple of questions. The first one being with respect to the logs in the continuous probe. So it's like I have configured in such a way that the retry should be twice. Okay, the retry count is 2, and I have set the interval count to be 3. So it's like if and I'm using a command probe to test my script at the backend, the endpoint. So it's like I'm able to see that multiple calls are being triggered, despite me providing that if in case a particular call fails, then the retry should happen only twice. But the failure call itself, I'm able to see more than 4 to 5 times. So why is that? I'm failing to understand. If allowed, I can share my screen for the logs alone.
Sure thing, Ganesh. I can maybe help you to understand this. So the way it works is continuous probes, as you understand, they will be continuously be polling a condition. I mean, if you're, let's say, using the HTTP probe, it will continuously try to poll an endpoint either with GET or POST request, or similarly in the command probe, it would try to continuously run a command in a mode. So there are a few parameters here. The one that you mentioned is the retry. That has been actually updated with attempt. So you might want to just check that out. I mean, which version you're using, I guess. We added it after 2.14. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, that is something. But yeah, retry and attempt are the same thing. And you're right. The probe should only retry as many times as you're specifying it to be retried. And after that, it should fail or pass accordingly. I mean, if it is breaching the retry count when it comes to failure, then of course it should fail. However, one thing that I just wanted to notify you about is the probe polling interval. So two of these probes, that is the continuous and on chaos probe, have something known as probe polling interval, which is basically the duration apart from which the two consecutive polls should happen, right? So based on the parameters, the whole set of parameters that you have given, it should try to explain that why is it maybe, polling multiple times. So yeah, if you will share maybe the workflow manifest, let's say in the Litmus channel, it would be helpful. We can certainly help you there.
Sure. I'll do that, because this is not the first time that I'm seeing such kind of a behavior. And also, extending to the question, I have observed a scenario wherein, say, suppose one call just passes, okay, and the rest of the calls, like even though if I provide a lower retry count, I would see sometimes more than, even if I mention it as 2 as the retry count, for example, I would sometimes see a retry of maybe more than 8 or 10 retries would happen, and the end result, right, it gets updated as passed. So I fail to understand that. Do you guys consider, or have you written a condition wherein certain X percentage of calls it passes, then the end result will be reflecting likewise? Or is there any logic to this? Because if I see the ratio, right, I see that 80% of the calls have failed, but even if 20% goes through, then I see that the end result is pass. I can just share a screenshot right away in the channel that only one call has gone through, or sometimes not even that. And end result, sometimes I get some random results, like sometimes it passes, sometimes it fails for the same parameters if I try to retrigger. I've encountered such kind of a scenario. That's the reason, if somebody can help me out, it would be great.
Sure, Ganesh. First of all, thank you so much for bringing this up. What we should do next is kindly just put in the workflow manifest and any screenshot that you have in the Litmus channel. Basically, just start a thread on it so that we can further probe into the issue. And just coming before that, I mean, what you were saying with regards to how the probe results should work. You're right. I mean, it actually doesn't depend on any ratio of how many probe calls are passing or failing. It's a very simple logic wherein we are basically defining that, let's say the probe fails beyond a certain number of retries, whatever number of retries that you have put in the probe description. If that happens, then simply the probe should fail without any ifs or buts. It's as simple as that. And based on the mode in which you're running the probe, that would define that how many times the probe should run. So let's say if it's a SOT probe, then it will run only once before the test. If it's an EOT mode probe, then it will run only once after the test. Or let's say if it's a continuous mode probe, then it will run throughout the experiment duration with an interval of probe polling interval. So that's how the probe is supposed to work. Even if there is one breach of the probe failure, wherein it kind of breaches the retry count, then it should automatically fail. So yeah, that's the understanding regarding the probe.
Thank you so much for the explanation, Nilanjan. But I have observed otherwise. So I would
Okay.
definitely post it in the channel, and I request you guys to please have a look at it. And coming to my second question, sorry, I'm actually buying out more time from you guys. Coming to my second question, it is about configuring the parameters with respect to the GitOps. Like, if we change the name of the image, then, I mean, I saw certain videos and also the articles regarding the GitOps, the event-driven chaos and all. So going through that, what I understood is like only certain parameters were configured, uh, were allowed to be configured. So say, suppose if I want to allow my own parameter uh, to be configured in such a way that if I change anything, then that workflow should be triggered. So is there any provision like that to add custom configurable parameters to event-driven scenarios?
Vedant, will you like to take this up?
Yeah. So, Ganesh, like this one, you are asking for this one, right? From the GitHub repository, you are asking when making some changes, or from the cluster itself using event trigger, there is a change in the component.
Basically, I'm talking about the GitHub repository. Say, suppose in the pod, so any pod delete, pod deployment file or any such kind of a deployment, if suppose I want to put in a condition that if I change a name of that deployment, then my workflow should get triggered. As simple as a name. Generally, it happens for image, right? If we change any image and any kind of a critical thing, then the workflow will get triggered. But if I want it to be configured according to my terms, then how am I supposed to proceed?
Okay. Yeah, I think yeah, this is actually a good requirement. Yeah, currently you're right. It's not yet there, providing such configuration. But I think, yeah, like this event, driven component or, feature that we had provided, which, it has been completely based on what feedback we had got from the, community. So if you think, there's something which can help, in various scenarios, and I also do think, this might help to have your own conditions than, having just the random things. So yeah, I think maybe you can raise a GitHub issue, and maybe the team can start looking into it and have some plan of prioritizations for this.
Also, Vedant, can you please tell me like what are the current parameters, the list of parameters, and where can I see them? Because I also see a snippet of a event tracker policy that
Mhm.
gives out a condition-based check. So I thought that maybe my custom parameters, whatever I put in, I can try to apply some logic over there, and maybe event tracker will guess it and detect it, and then the respective workflows can be triggered. But I don't think that is the case, right?
Yeah, so correct, like event tracker, the policy that we have in event tracker, that is only for any deployment having changes onto your cluster. But that doesn't track changes going into the GitHub repository currently. So like that is something that has been happening via having some GitHub hooks and all, but um, that event trigger policy may not help here to have that configuration based in a GitHub repository. So that is only based for the any pod deployment that you have in your cluster itself. There you can have that configuration to be used, but from GitHub it currently doesn't have any connection.
Okay. Uh, can you please help me with the exact documents, like where I can get the parameters which are currently live, and where I can check those? Can you please help me out with that? Because I did not find, because one or two parameters were mentioned in the general docs, but I couldn't get the exact list of it. So please help me out with that, Vedant.
Okay, sure. I will check it out.
Sure. That's it from my end. Thank you so much, guys, for your help.
Thank you so much, Ganesh, once again. Thank you so much for all the questions. Thank you so much, Vedant and Nilanjan, for helping Ganesh with his questions. Do we have any other questions or anything anyone has to share before we wrap up? All right, folks, I believe that is it. So thank you so much once again, everyone, for tuning in. and we'll see you next month once again. And if you're interested in joining the contributor calls, then we are hosting one next Thursday. So we are starting with the LitmusChaos contributor calls, that's specifically for folks who are interested in contributing back to the project. So I hope to, if anyone's interested, just feel free to DM me or feel free to fill in the form that I've shared in the channel. And thank you so much once again, folks, for joining in. And you guys have a good rest of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.